Right.
One sector I wanted to touch on is sports betting. We haven't talked about this much on the podcast, but it's in the headlines these days. NFL season started, football's underway, and with that happening, sports betting volume on opening weekend surged. Am I right? And if I am, what are the investment opportunities here?
Right, sure, yeah. So sports betting volume Thursday night through Sunday night was up about 72% year over year. Some of that can be chalked up to what was a very fascinating opening week for the NFL.
Yeah.
I think a record number of teams, 4 teams, overcame double-digit deficits in the first half, ended up winning or tying the game. So very interesting week. Obviously, you had Tom Brady on Sunday Night Football. So it was a very interesting week. So maybe some of this Thursday to Sunday thing is a more interesting week one than last year. But that doesn't explain 72% growth. I mean, that's a lot of growth. There is clearly – I think the number of logins was over 100 million. So the number of people that tried to log into sports betting apps like DraftKings or Caesars over the Thursday to Sunday period is 103 million logins, I think was the number. That's just in America. There's 340 million people in America. So more than 1 out of 4 people are trying to log into sports betting apps to place a bet on an NFL game. That's absurd. That's a truly wild number. If you told me 100 million people watched the NFL games this past week, I would be like, that's a lot, let alone bet on it. So we're talking about some very massive numbers here, and it's indicative of the broader sports betting trend becoming normalized. For a long time, sports betting was kind of like this sin activity. People watch sports, but betting on sports, ew, gross. Like that's not me. No. But now it's becoming one and the same, intertwined. You watch sports, you bet on sports. You watch sports, you bet on sports. It's becoming more of a community thing. That's what DraftKings has done. That's what FanDuel has done. That's what fantasy football has done. Fantasy sports have done. They've made betting on sports a community, social thing. So it's not going to the casinos and smoking cigars and placing bets. And, that has a dirty vibe to it that a lot of younger folks in the millennial and Generation Z don't like. But what they do like is getting on their phones and talking SHIT with their friends about, this guy had 23-yard rush. This guy had a 56-yard reception touch. They love talking crap about that. Oh, you were wrong about that. Oh, LeBron made this free throw. People just love talking crap about sports to one another. So once you overlaid that social element on top of the naturally occurring phenomenon of people love sports and people love to make money. Once you overlaid that on top of those two drivers, you made sports betting socially acceptable. You made sports betting fun. You made it something that I don't feel ashamed to do. And that is opening the floodgates. The legal picture is shaping up very nicely. I think the exact number is 37 states plus Washington, D.C. have some form of legal sports betting. So that means only 13 states don't. And if you look at the 13 states that don't, Texas is one of them. Outside of Texas, it's a bunch of states that don't have that many people. The big populated states, California, Florida, New York, Pennsylvania, and all those big states, sports betting is legal. So I think something around 80 to 85% of the U.S. population lives in a state with legal sports betting operations. That's wild. 4 or 5 years ago, only Vegas and Atlantic City had sports betting and Native American casinos. That's where sports betting was constricted to. Now it's in every state outside of Texas and in a few other states. So that's a pretty big deal. And I think it's the start of what is going to be a pretty large trend in sports betting. I think that within 5 to 10 years, maybe sooner than that even, sports betting becomes as normal as sports watching. You will have as many people watching sports as you will have betting on the outcome of sports. And I'm not talking about betting on games per se, but betting on personal stat lines, betting on micro bets, in-game bets. Is LeBron going to make this free throw? Is Tom Brady going to complete this third down pass? Are they going to run or are they going to rush? Are they going to pass? Different micro bets like that within the game. Is he going to make this 53-yard field goal? Those types of bets, I think, you're going to gain the most traction.
Mm-hmm.
And if we talk about ways to play that, of course, there's DraftKings. That's the hyper growth stock and on everybody's radar. And then there's a few others out there. Churchill Downs is a name that's worth watching. But broadly, there are enough sports betting stocks in the market that if you strategically place the correct bets today on the right names, I
Mm-hmm.
think you're going to make some pretty good money, not just over the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, but probably over the next 3 months, because I think this pullback in stocks is going to be
Mm-hmm.
short lived and we're going to bounce back. The uptrend is going to persist. And if that does happen, if the NFL season also continues to see really, really, really strong momentum with sports betting, these are the type of long duration assets that could simultaneously benefit from an improving macroeconomic backdrop as well as
Mm-hmm.
an improving fundamental situation with sports betting volumes soaring during the NFL season. So
Mm-hmm.
those names are pretty interesting to me right now, literally right now here in early September, mid-September. Those are some pretty interesting names on my radar.
We talked about this last week, how you don't believe in seasonal trends, but with, football being a seasonal thing, do you kind of foresee it impacting these stocks the same way, we saw this opening weekend?
No, I don't view this as a seasonal thing. I view it as a fundamental catalyst. It's not so much as the NFL season started, so buy sports betting stocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's the NFL season started, and we, out of nowhere, surprisingly, got a 72% jump in sports betting volume.
Okay.
If next year we also get a 70% jump, then yes, sports betting stocks will likely work in September and October of next year. But we probably won't. Maybe it'll be like a 10 or 15% jump. It's just the fact that we had a 70% jump in sports betting volume in week one. If that persists and the macroeconomic backdrop shapes up, then you probably get those stocks going higher, considerably higher over the next 1 to 2 months.
Thanks for watching HGI Clips. For the full episode, head on over to our sister channel at Hypergrowth Investing by clicking the link in the description or listen to the podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms. We make new episodes every Wednesday, so make sure to check it out and subscribe to never miss any of Luke's Hypergrowth insights.